Hey there, beautiful ladies. Hey, I wanted to come today and create this video for you because I was asked about vibration and what vibration is all about. Now, before I go into answering that question, I want to say this. I want to preface it by saying this. I have been studying the spiritual things of life, personal development and healing. I've been in that space now for well over 20 years, studying that and constantly improving myself. I'm a literal personal improvement junkie. So I've got tons of books and things like that all around personal development, spiritual growth, making better decisions, wisdoms, femininity, like all these things that comprise, becoming a better version of myself. So with that being said, I find that vibration and studying vibration has been one of the more um, challenging things to become masterful at, but at the same time quite rewarding stepping into it because it's one of those things that's not necessarily taught mainstream. It's not taught in religious circles. It's not necessarily embraced in religious circles. But I found that as I opened my mind to understand the deeper things of life, I recognized that this is something that has always been at work in my life and has been at work in all of our lives simply because we live in an energetic field, in an energetic realm, and we may or may not embrace that, but we do. So everything has life and everything has energy. So the premise around vibration is that um, everything has energy and moves at a certain frequency. So with that being said, I'm going to share with you just the fundamentals of what I've learned. I continue to learn every day. If this lands for you, then keep what lands for you. And if it triggers you, if it bothers you, I invite you to explore why the trigger is there. Because I find that once I learned to open my mind around what was going on in the world, uh, I became more and more in a way of understanding and became a person that could live more victoriously and, pretty much learn how to co-create with God and manifest. So vibration was a very integral part and still continues to be an integral part of my life. So I definitely want to share it with you to the best of my ability. Again, I'm still a student of it. I'm still learning. And I will be forever a student learning as much as I can in the way of life mastery. So let's talk about vibration and what I understand about it. I'm going to give you the fundamentals of it. So essentially, vibration is around everything has some type of energy. Everything is energetic. And as I studied this more and more, I also learned that we have different energetic fields as well. So, a lot of times we're pretty much blind to what's going on or unconscious to what's going on around us, but we can feel things. So one of the ways that we can experience vibration when you are aware of it is how you feel in someone's presence. We like to say things like, "Oh, I didn't like their vibe," or "that person made me feel very good," or something like that. But when you're making comments like that, you're actually discerning someone's personal vibration and how they're radiating or emitting energy to the world. So vibration is consists of a couple of elements. It consists of your thoughts. It consists of your feelings. It consists of your actions, and it also consists of your intentions. And each of those pieces, you can literally put energy behind them and actually drive them to create your life experience. So we're always creating our life experience, whether we're conscious of it or not. Vibration is just a measurement of how we are emitting frequency-wise to the world. So a best way I can explain that when it comes to the concept of frequency is if you think about emotions, for example, you've got emotions at different levels, but then you've got like the lowest of the low and you've got like the highest of the high. So some of the lowest of the low that we are all familiar with is something like anger. That's a very a low frequency emotion, and it still vibrates. It still allows a person to vibrate. However, they're vibrating at a low state, and so they tend to attract or be in relationship with people who would would be okay with being in that space, or people who are the exact same way. So a lot of times you can tell someone's vibration by who they hang out with, right? Like who they like to spend their time with, or another way, as a provider, who do you tend to attract in your space? Because if you attract people that are low vibration, then that is an indication of where you can come up higher, right? And so early on in my career, growing my coaching business and my influence business, I would attract people who were kind of like somewhat unreliable to themselves, and somewhat didn't do their assignments, but yet they said they wanted to, that kind of stuff. And it wasn't necessarily due to they didn't have enough time, because we all have the same amount of time. But what it was that person hadn't developed enough to a place where they took ownership of their responsibilities. And so, because I was attracting that person constantly into my life, I recognized that I too was someone like that to a certain extent. And so when I started to focus on that and clean that up, that's when it shifted, and I started to attract someone different that operated at a higher vibration. So it's a matter of being able to understand where you are at any given moment, and the feeling, the energy that you're giving off to the world. So going back to the example of the frequencies and the emotional component. So I said that you've got anger. Fear is also a very, very low vibration. It's actually quite draining, and so is anger. And that's one way you can know if you're in a low energy state, because I have actually a chart on that, and you can look that up too. You can look up the frequency of emotions, right? But if you're in a low energetic frequency, then you're going to be tired and exhausted, because it's quite draining to dwell in fear. It's quite draining to dwell in anger. It's a lot of work. It's draining. And so you can see when you're in a low frequency state, then you're tired, you're angry, you're frustrated. Those are all experiences that happen when you're at a low vibration, low energy state. But when you're at a higher frequency, so the higher frequencies are like love, and then the highest one they say is like enlightenment, which I've not experienced. But so I strive for the highest level and expression of love. But I find it's not something where you're just expressing it just to be expressing it. It's something that you embody. So vibration is something that you embody. So it's something that you can control, something that you can actively improve upon. Remember, I told you, it is your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and your intentions. You can put energy behind all of those. So you put energy behind your thoughts, you put energy behind your feelings, you put energy behind your actions, energy behind your intentions, right? So all of those things together collectively create your life experiences. And so what I tend to do in my daily life, it's a daily, hourly, by the minute now practice, is I'm always looking at, like, I'm always investigating my thoughts. I'm always investigating my feelings, because what happens is if my thoughts, if I'm working on my thoughts, but then my feelings don't jive, that means there's work to be done in clearing my feelings and what I make things mean, right? And then, if my actions, my habits, the things that I do aren't lined up to my thoughts and my feelings, well, then I got to make sure I clear some of those habits so that I create new habits that are more moving towards the goal that I have. And then, if I look at my intentions and what's the driver behind everything that I'm trying to do, I have to make sure those things are pure. So all throughout, my life, the day, whatever, I am constantly looking at. So, what are my thoughts around this person? What are my thoughts around this program? What are my thoughts around this Facebook group? Like, what are my thoughts? Like, what do I feel? And as I clean those things up, then you start to see an elevation in your life experience. And so, it's been something where I've learned over the years, and that's really just the conscious component too, because there's a subconscious component too, which is stuff that you were programmed with, you were conditioned to believe and to think. And again, it's the same equation, except now there are things that are running on autopilot. That's your subconscious, and it's always running the show. So then there's a level of effort of clearing up the subconscious as well. So I know I said a lot. But it's something that I think it warranted some level of explanation, because, I know that some people can look at the word vibration and can be a little put off by it. I mean, I was too in the very beginning, simply because I wasn't taught about it. And, we as humans, we tend to not want to, we're afraid of things we don't understand. So rather than me running from it, I decided I was going to try to understand it. And I'm so glad that I did. My life is so much more easier, so much more juicier, so much more um, restful and peaceful because I understand now that I get to have the things that I am made to have. And it's not something that I have to, fight for and constantly have to beg for and scream for. When someone is operating at a higher vibration, they don't have to yell to make their presence known. You know them when you walk into a room and you see them, or they walk into a room. They captivate your presence because they emanate at such a high frequency, a high level. And, it's not something that happens just, by chance. It's very magnetic, and it's something that it happens it happens because of intentional work and clearing out the junk. I found that as I was working on, just who I was being in the world and elevating my frequency and my vibration, I have found that I have discovered, how to live healthier, how to, how to age beautifully, how to be in healthy relationships with people, how to be in healthy relationships with myself and my body, how to raise grounded children, and how to, just, create programs that touch people and bless people, that transform lives. Like, how to trust my own voice. These are things that happen because I've been on this path to develop personally and really committed myself to a level of personal mastery. And looking at my vibration and all the components that you know, that make up the vibration has by far been, like I said, the more challenging because you have to face yourself, but at the same time, most rewarding thing I've done. So I hope this blesses you. Again, I don't mind talking about this, and at some point in the very near future, I will create a program around this because I definitely understand there's questions around it. Um, and the internet is so full of information around it. Um, so I would definitely say if you're really interested in learning more, definitely search to learn more. But understand that nothing beats your own personal experience, right? Like there's all the theory. Like when I was in college, like I learned all the theory around, mechanical engineering, at least at a bachelor's level, but nothing compared to actually going out there and starting to build that submarine. And, same thing with healing. It's one thing to get the theory around tapping works, for example, but it's a whole different thing to know that you can actually touch your body, and release energy at specific points and your body heal itself of different maladies that you've had for so long. So this stuff is powerful, this stuff is potent, but it's available to all of us. So I invite you to look at it, not be afraid of it. Definitely understand that the things that you have been taught, if you're even questioning at this point, that that to me indicates that you are someone that's ready for an up level, someone that's ready to understand what's always been there and start to let go of some of the old conditioning so that you can make room for a greater life experience and greater abundance, if that's your thing, or greater relationships, like whatever it is, just like more juicier, rich, healthy, joyful, beautiful life experience. So I hope this blesses you all on my take on vibration. Again, I'm still a student, always a student. And if you have any questions, put your questions below the video and I will get back to you and answer those questions and we can continue this dialogue if you'd like to. All right? Blessings to you. Have a great day.